DCTV 274 production, a channel meant to spread evangelical mission, reflections, church news, interviews on church matters, socio-political issues, and other marriage matters, both young and nice content, all kinds of invitation cards, even movies. DCTV 274 production.
Hi, this is my channel. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. DCTV, the channel for everyone.
Greetings, brethren. This is Fr Sanctus Mario. I welcome you to these little moments with me to talk about 7 inspiring lessons you can learn from the gospel of today, the gospel of 6th Sunday of all night time of the year B. So in today's gospel, a leper came to Jesus and was pleading on his knees. He said to Jesus, "If you want to, you can kill me." Then feeling sorry for him, Jesus now stretched out his hands and touched him. Just said, "Of course I want to." He said, "Be killed." Then the leprosy left him at once and he was killed. Now Jesus immediately sent him away and then ordered him not to tell anyone, but to go and show himself to the priest and make the offering for his healing prescribed by Moses as an evidence of his recovery. So the man went away and they started talking about it freely and telling the story everywhere. So this made Jesus not to no longer go out openly in the town. So let us analyze, let us go straight to the point and analyze 7 inspiring lessons you can learn from the gospel today. Number 1 is the lesson of humility. You will understand here that the leper approached Jesus with humility, and when he came to Jesus, the first thing he did was to plead on his knees. He went on his knees to Jesus Christ. The leper recognized that he is nothing, and he recognized that he is in need, but he recognized that there is somebody who can solve his need. And what he did was to approach that person in humility. He recognized that Jesus Christ is the only one that has the omnipotent power, and he doesn't have the power. The leper understands that he cannot solve his own that kind of problem, but Jesus Christ has the omnipotent power. So the major way, or the main way he approaches us was through the path of humility. So he is teaching us the way to approach God. When you approach God with simple humility. Approach God with a humble heart. Acknowledge your weakness. Acknowledge that we are nothing. Come to God with all your heart. Okay, so today this man is teaching us how to approach God. Sometimes when we come in the presence of God, we think that we are everything. We think that we cannot even die. We think that there is nothing God can do for us again. In the presence of God, what is required of us is the spirit of humility, or the virtue of humility. Number 2, the lesson of faith. Before coming to Jesus, the leper, I believe, must have heard about Jesus Christ. And also, he must have believed that Jesus has the power to make him clean. Because if he doesn't believe in that, there is no way he can approach Jesus and ask him to heal him. Okay? But he understands that Jesus has the power, and he must have believed that Jesus can do what he wants to ask for. So this demonstrates the importance of having faith in God before you approach him. So when we approach God with faith, unwavering faith, and not doubt. So do not just approach God to test God. Some people will say, "Let's go and try God." No, you don't go to God to try him. You go to God with faith. You go to God because you trust him. You go to God because you know he is a holy Father that can solve your needs. You don't just go there, just let me try God. You don't try God. God is not a machine to be tried. Then number 3 is the lesson of compassion. Jesus said to the leper, when the leper came to Jesus, Jesus said to the leper, the response that Jesus gave to the leper is, "Of course, I want to." I was so marveled with that response, because this shows the heart of a person that has the interest to save another person. So therefore, Jesus had compassion on the leper. He showed the spirit of compassion on the leper, and he reached out to save him. So even though lepers at that time were considered unclean and untouchable at that time, yet this did not prevent Jesus Christ from touching him. Jesus went ahead to touch him. Okay, despite the laws that prevented any Jew to touch a leper, Jesus went beyond it to touch the leper. Okay, this shows the heart of somebody that is eager to save, that is eager to love, that is eager to answer our prayers. Okay, now, first of all, this teaches us how we are to treat others around us. The only way to treat people around you is through compassion. We don't treat people with wickedness. We don't treat people with hatred. We don't tell people or intimidate people or let people understand that we are above them. The only way we are to treat people is through the spirit of compassion. And also, this shows the type of heart that Jesus had. Okay, when you approach the presence of Jesus, always understand that you are in the presence of somebody who cannot but have mercy. Okay, now, number 4, let us talk about when the leprosy departed from the man. So as soon as Jesus Christ spoke, the leprosy departed from the man and he was made clean. So this also reminds us that God is able to bring healing and transformation in our life, especially whenever we approach him. Okay, so when we develop the attitude of meeting Jesus, or when we develop the attitude of coming closer to God, or developing a time with God, you will see that gradually our life will change. Okay, because the leper met Jesus has to speak over his condition, and there was a change. Any encounter with God is life changing. Every minute with God is not a waste, and every minute with God is life changing. Let us develop a time with God. So number 5 is the lesson of obedience. So Jesus, after healing the leper, Jesus strictly charged the leper not to tell anyone. He told him not to tell anyone, but to go and show himself to the high priest as instructed in the law of Moses. As instructed, that should be our concern, to follow the instruction. Jesus is asking him, go and follow this particular instruction. So what Jesus is actually saying is that obedience is very important. Obedience to God, obedience to his instructions, obedience to his commands is very, very important in our lives as Christians. That's why in 1 Samuel chapter 15 verse 22, Samuel was asking Saul, does the Lord delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices as much as in obeying him, in obeying the Lord? He said to obey is better than sacrifice. Okay, so the lesson of number 5 is teaching us especially the importance of listening and following God's instructions. Then number 6, although the leper was instructed not to tell anyone, but he went out and began to publicly proclaim what Jesus Christ has done for him. Okay, I think what I see here is somebody who is overjoyed. He could not contain his joy. Okay, and in him you see somebody that has passed through a lot. That thing he did also reveals the type of suffering this guy has been passing through. Remember that lepers at that time were isolated. So who knows the type of treatment that people gave him? So you see the joy. So he began to proclaim. He could not contain his joy. And what he can do at that is to continue to say it. Okay. Now, for me, this teaches us the importance of being grateful and even share whatever goodness or whatever good thing God has done for us. There are times God will do something for you. Your joy can no longer be contained. This is what happened to the leper today. He could not contain his joy. And what he was doing was to go out and start proclaiming the goodness of God. And see what happened. The leper's proclamation about Jesus attracted people from every side. Even though he had to stay in desolate places, this shows the power of personal testimony. Remember, when he was not healed, he was isolated. He stayed in a desolate place. He was forgotten. But when he started to proclaim about what God has done for him, people started to come. People started to come to know or to see what God has done for him. Okay, your present condition, people may forget you. People may isolate you. But when God remembers you, those people will remember you again. They will come back to you to celebrate you. Okay, so this shows that when God does something in our lives, it can attract a lot to us. So always be grateful to God. Then number 7, which is our last lesson, which is the lesson of God's way. The leper said to Jesus, when he came to Jesus, said, if you will, please cure me. Then Jesus also affirmed that it was his will to heal the leper. So this highlights the importance of praying according to the will of God. Not just praying according to the will of God, but knowing or depending on the power and omnipotence of God, understanding the sovereignty of God over us. And God's will is better than what we all desire. So this reminds us to always seek God's will in our lives and trust what he has for us. Sometimes your plans can be very good, but God has a better plan for you. When that better plan comes, you may not actually understand it. You may not even want it. You may not even desire it. But when you trust the process, at the end, you discover that God's will is the most important. So let us always pray, follow, and understand the will of God in our lives. So may God bless you and may God be with you. Thank you for this moment with me. I pray that God will continue to give us his grace to follow his will. Thank you and may God bless you. This is Fr Sanctus Mario. Thank you so much. I also advise you to follow this channel. You can subscribe to the channel and follow the channel.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel.
This is TV 274 production, a channel meant to spread evangelical mission, reflections, church news, interviews on church matters, socio-political issues, and other marriage matters, both young and nice content, all kinds of invitation cards, even movies. This is TV 274 production.